Well, I'm so excited to have with me now the one and only Crystal Hunter. A lot of you watching will already know him. He was, of course, a long-time streamer of Blood Bowl, still does occasionally, but a bit less so than back in the day, maybe when he was dominating that European early afternoon slot. Also known as the Rat Baron. Of course, he is on his favorite team, Skaven, here at the World Championships. Crystal Hunter, I know you have talked about the fact that you've played a lot of Blood Bowl. I believe you've said more than 10,000 games of online Blood Bowl that you've played, only online as well. And yet, one of the things that I've heard you talking about with this tournament is how this format, the resurrection style, where you have a specific skills package and you know that you're going to get the same team every game, maybe that's not so much your comfort zone. Could you maybe tell us why you find this format a little bit more difficult than just going into ladder where you are so familiar?
Well, I think you explained a good part of it perfectly. Like I've played more than 10,000 games online,
Mm.
and mostly in ladder. So that means that I'm not familiar with the NAF format because usually, like when you play tabletop, that's where you do the NAF format. And I haven't really played tabletop, so for me this is really a difficult or a different experience. That's for sure.
You say that, and yet we look at the fact that you're here in the quarterfinals. We've knocked out some pretty big names already. Which would
I'm a
you say
little
has
bit
been
surprised
your,
as well.
yeah,
Sorry.
maybe one very big name, I think, so far. Which has been your toughest game so far?
I had so many amazing games. I had that game versus you, which was really difficult in itself in the play-ins, and
You don't need to say that just to be polite. I think you've had tougher ones.
well, like it was an amazing game to play. Like
Mm.
it's mostly also the persons you play against, right? Like Jimmy was absolutely amazing to play against. Was fantastic to play against, you could say. Um, and we had a really tough game versus those guy where he just pitch cleared me, and I had to come back from that to actually get into the quarterfinals. I'm a little bit surprised that I'm there, and we'll see how the next rounds go. I'm very excited about it.
It's funny you mentioned these three games, all different races that you're talking about there. Of course, I was on Wood Elves. Jimmy Fantastic, who you reference, who's with me here in the studio. He was on his Necromantic Tosca in the last round on Black Orcs. But here in the quarterfinals, you've run into the race you know best. It's Skaven against Skaven. And in some ways, it's a wonderful thing because, as we've just said, your whole experience is online Blood Bowl. You've never played a tabletop game. OlivierDuLac has certainly played a good amount of online Blood Bowl, but still, maybe he comes at this more from the angle of someone who's played a lot of tabletop. How do you approach this game with him? You're both, I suppose, quite Blood Bowl famous in your ways. And have you been studying the way he plays? You've been trying to learn the way he plays before this
It
game?
almost it's really difficult to really determine it because like Skaven versus Skaven is such a high variance game in every way, like the attrition, the potential sacking on the ball that could happen and all that kind of thing. Let me say it's a privilege to play against Olivier. Like I think it's amazing that I could get to play like the tabletop number or the past tabletop number one. Um, I think it's amazing that we get to face each other, and it's gonna be a thing about like who dares to risk what at what moment, I guess. And yeah, we'll have to see how both of us will approach it. I think game one will be a real test, and I guess we'll be adapting a lot in game two and game three.
I so want to ask you specifics about how you're going to approach it. And you shouldn't tell me because, of course, we're about to see that and you don't want to give things away to your opponent. I did want to ask because during your streams back in your streaming days, you often had a bit of classical music on while you were playing. Do you have a setup for these games? Do you have like a specific approach to them to get yourself in a zone?
No, not really regarding music, but like I do try to avoid everything that has to do with Blood Bowl on the day itself. I
Interesting.
play I play a lot of other different games and just try to get my mind off the whole thing. I used to do that in Chalice as well when I was more nervous, and I've kept applying that basically. I'm a lot less nervous now. Like I'm very satisfied with where I am already. And it's basically a win-win situation now. If I lose the next round, like I've had tons of fun, and I can relax for the weekends and see the other people, do their thing. And if I win, well, the sky's the limit, isn't it? Like we can go to the end.
Absolutely. I should have said that in the introduction. Of course, you are a former Blood Bowl 2 Chalice champion, and many other successes besides. But one thing that you mentioned, actually, we had all of the players provided a little Q&A set of answers to our producers about their background in Blood Bowl. And one thing I saw that I didn't know was that you feel like maybe a tipping point in your getting quite so into Blood Bowl was a conversation you had with our very own here in the studio, Andy Davo, quite early on. I was wondering if you could just tell us just like the short version of that story.
So I discovered Blood Bowl when Blood Bowl 1 basically came out, and I was playing humans a little bit and didn't really know like much about the game, and then suddenly I ran into Andy. And I don't know where Andy exactly was in his like time in Blood Bowl, but he seemed relatively newish as well. I'm not sure, but you should ask him. And we just started sparring against each other. Like he started chatting with me. We started talking. He added me on Facebook and all that kind of thing. And we really started to get along as friends. And he started to invite me into a community league. So like everything basically from the first get go had to do with him. And after I discovered Skaven, like I remember him suggesting Dark Elves to me, but kind of stick with Skaven in the end, and that's how that all basically got built up. So it's amazing to still see him in this circuit, and I think he probably thinks the same of me. Like after all these years, it's kind of amazing that we're both there.
Absolutely. And I do think that's one of the very cool things in Blood Bowl, how those connections build and grow. Although I have to admit, I just assumed that Andy has been playing since the moment he came out of the womb. This is all news to me that he ever had a starting point. We have to ask Krista Hunter, because as we've already mentioned, you knocked me out in the play-ins. You knocked Jimmy out in the group stage. There's only one person left here with me in Paris that you haven't knocked out. You can't play Andy before the final. Are you going to complete the hat trick? Are you going to knock him out as well?
Yeah, he would be a fine addition to my collection. That was a joke I made a few months ago. Yeah, I would look forward to that. That would be a dream final, and it would be like a bit of an awesome closing chapter for me, and in regards to Blood Bowl 3 as well. It would be fun to win it all because I would love to say like I'm the first grandmaster of Blood Bowl 3, and now I end as the last world champion of Blood Bowl 3, moving forward into like Warhammer Blood Bowl. But yeah, like we'll have to see how it goes. Like the quarterfinal is going to be tough, semifinal is going to be tough if we get there. So we'll have to see.
We all heard that little "if we get there" at the end there, but we don't believe you. We know you're already planning for the next rounds, as I'm sure is Olivier. But thank you so much, Krista Hunter. That was great, and good luck with your quarterfinal.
Thank you very much for having me. Good luck to everyone.
Well, we've heard from the Rat Baron, but OlivierDuLac has just as fierce a reputation for Skaven play. We've just been hearing about how Crystal Hunter has never played a game of tabletop Blood Bowl. We have with me now the number one tabletop Blood Bowl player in the world for 3 years running. Olivier, you are one of just 2 players, together with our very own Andy Davo, who has reached the finals of these World Championships for 2 years in a row. How do you do it in a game that involves always a bit of luck with the dice as well?
Yeah, I think on this drive, I have really not my dice don't let me down on any match. I think the only game I lose is just because I played it really bad. And when I do some mistakes, when I did some mistakes during my games, I was always saved by some Skaven special team play, like a one turn or some counter attack or something like this. So actually, I'm in a good mood with my dice. Not on all the competition I play on Blood Bowl 3, but on the most important, the World Championship, I'm really on fire.
It's the good place to have them. If you're going to have your best dice, the World Championship is where you want to have them. Last year, of course, we saw you playing Wood Elves, and you played them very well, some very entertaining games. But this year, back on Skaven, would you say Skaven's still very much your number one team?
Yes. Vampires and wood elves are really lovely rosters for me, but scavens are on the top by far. No hesitation in this. No question here.
One of the things that I think also really stands out watching your games, also true for your opponent, Chris or Hunter, but you have a very aggressive play style. Do you think sometimes maybe a lot of Blood Bowl coaches are too cautious in these games, and especially when they're playing against top opponents like you have here at the World Championship?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's not because your opponent has a strong reputation or because you are in an important match, you have to change your way of playing. I'm an aggressive player. All people know that, and still, all people can't do anything against that. So, really, I'm not changing anything of that during the last match. I have to play with 4 gutter runners.
Absolutely. Soon there will only be 2 gutter runners once we move to Warhammer Blood Bowl. Oh, look, I've upset him. I can't say these things. You are, of course, playing against Crystal Hunter, who is another aggressive Skaven coach. Have you watched much of how he plays as well? Do you see him as being quite similar to you?
Yes, I was I think at some point of the group phase, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna look at all this match because he played really well, and I want to. I think you have to always. Sur ma ta question? You have to always put yourself in a question and to ask are my choice and my strategy good? And looking at how he play and how he ready in a difficult group, he just go first, and he was really impressive. So yes, I look at him with a lot of attention.
We're all really looking forward to seeing how you have maybe those 2 similar but different styles, and maybe there's some influence as well from playing on tabletop where he doesn't. But I did notice that you actually haven't really been playing tabletop much in this last year. I was looking out for you at the Euro Bowl tournament, which of course you have won before with France. Was that a decision you made to take a year off playing so much tabletop?
Oh, it wasn't my choice. I have 4 work questions to go 6 months, 5 months in other country where there is no Blood Bowl at all.
Oh
So
no.
I was taken by Blood Bowl 3. And then when I come back, I get marriage. I get um, I was to Japan with my new wife. Then I have to move out. A lot of things happens to me. So only 3 days of tabletop playing this year. That's
Wow.
really, really not in my habitude, but habits. But I'm doing my best.
Absolutely. Well, it clearly hasn't stopped you from bringing a very good standard of play to this tournament. I have to ask you now, Olivier, because you've just mentioned getting married, and I have heard that you met your wife through Blood Bowl. I was wondering if you could tell us that story.
Now, it's quite a simple story. We met like 11 years before in a tabletop tournament. She learned the game by his father and go to tournament with him. And then with a lot of luck, because there is not a lot of women in Blood Bowl,
Mm.
we've met in the West, in the France West tournament, and then we arrange ourselves to go back just all the 2 on other tournament some months after, and then love story began, and we finish with a great marriage, and I'm really happy. She take his retreat today, but maybe she will come back and she understand a little when I say, "Oh, I have some football to play. Not good guys today." She understand me, and that's a really good fit.
I absolutely love that story. We love a love story, and especially a Blood Bowl love story. Olivia, the last thing I just wanted to ask you was, um, with it being online Blood Bowl, with it being different to tabletop, do you have any specific rituals or ways you set up your space to play when you start playing, or is it just you grab the laptop and you can play wherever you need to play?
I think what I love on, for example, this competition is you can just go to all the replay of your opponent and see some weakness in his play, some habits he have, and so you can adapt yourself. That is most difficult in tabletop because you have 5 matches in the weekend and it's never the same opponent. So here you can study how is the play style of your opponent, and it's really interesting, I think, and it makes a different kind of tournament. And with this, I don't know if you spoke about this in other interview, but the format with the best of 3 are really absolutely great. And I think it's for me, Blood Bowl is not most about luck, but when you put those kind of format, is the you being diced is really not enough. Yes.
Absolutely. I think we all agree with you on that one. We learned about this format, a lot of us, for the first time last year, and we love the drama in the series going back and forward from one result in game 1 to the second game, and the pressure that it puts on if someone loses game 1. We love it. We love watching you play as well, Olivier. We're really looking forward to this one. Good luck with your game against Crystal Hunter.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the interview.